I love greens. Sage green, olive green, forest green, and so on. In fact, I wrote the notes for this voiceover with a pear green Twisby swipe, loaded with Diamine's ultra green ink. By the way, producer Mike calls that pen the Slice, no doubt due to the fruit association. So it's no wonder that when I finally got around to doing one of these color family ink swatching sessions, I chose to start with greens. Plus, it just feels appropriate for springtime, yeah? Hi, I'm Irene, and this is Inkworks. The paper used for this project is a Fabriano Ecoqua notebook. I think it's a good choice for fountain pen writing, but I won't be using it again for ink swatching purposes, and I'll explain why later on. For now, I want to share my joy in a cup of hot coffee after scarfing down a plate of homemade fried rice, using the previous evening's leftovers. It was producer Mike's teriyaki chicken thighs made with soy vase bottled sauce. So I simply sauteed some chopped onion, grated a small carrot, diced a leftover teriyaki thigh, whipped a couple of eggs, and heated it all in a frying pan with seasonings and leftover rice. Sometimes the simplest things are so satisfying. I can sense raised eyebrows and mumblings of, "You call that simple?" Usually that would be me, but I guess I've made this type of dish so many times that it feels like a quick and easy meal. Hey, it doesn't always come together so well. I am not the best of cooks, so I wallow in these successful moments when I can. There has to be a fortuitous confluence of ingredients just sitting in the fridge and screaming, "Now's your chance to make perfect fried rice." Actually, perfect fried rice would have green onions and bacon. Am I right? But I have a question. Does anyone still use a recipe box? It used to be an essential item on every kitchen desk. It was where you shoved random recipe cards, coupons, and newspaper clippings until it became a hopeless morass of one of these days meal ideas. We have one, but haven't really used it in the last 10 years. It's just so easy to pull up Pinterest. Even easier when you have a computer in the kitchen, which we did until it conked out. Now I'm wondering if we should rethink our recipe storage system. Before I forget, let me tell you what tool I used here. It's a Kakimori metal nib. This one is brass, but there's also a stainless steel version. It's kinda pricey at $55, but it works great for times like this when I want to sample a bunch of inks. Alt Goldgrün from Rohrer and Klingner is my latest ink acquisition. It's also currently my favorite green ink. That's right. Out of all 10 shades on this 2-page spread, Alt Goldgrün, or Old Gold Green, is the one I'd rescue from a house fire. Although it's significantly darker than Airband's Vert Prey and Pilot's Iroshizuku Chikurine, I'd categorize all three as olive greens. Vert Prey being the lightest and brightest, while Chikurine is slightly deeper than that, making it a better choice for readable writing. Look, I'm getting up there in years. I need all the visual help I can get. You might think I'm splitting hairs between two very similar shades, but sometimes even little differences matter. Going back to the topic of desks, recently, while corresponding with a friend, I was reminded of those long ago years in grade school and how fascinated I was with the teacher's desk. The school experience as a whole may not have been my jam, but I always wanted to learn things. So imagine those two words, teacher's desk, in single quotation marks for emphasis. Because to my child eyes, it seemed like the be-all, end-all of learning. A case of fourth grade teacher hero worship might have had something to do with that. Hey, I wasn't the only one. She was young and pretty and strode into the classroom like she owned the school. A mug of coffee in one hand, a can of Tab in the other. Of course, a last name like Beer just made her cooler to our 9-year-old minds. Green Lady from Robert Oster and Ultra Green from Diamine are two mid-range greens. Lady leans warm, while Ultra leans cooler in comparison. By the way, yes, this footage was recorded a day or two before St. Patrick's Day. And yes, that may have influenced my choice of doodle motif. But mostly it was because I find shamrocks really easy to draw. But back to fourth grade. First thing each school day, Miss Beer would settle in at her desk while the pushy extroverts swarmed to greet her. That left the quiet introverts on the outskirts. But the joke was on them, because thanks to alphabetization, my best friend and I were right at the front of the class. Which meant that when teacher sat on her stool and read out loud to us, her spittle would occasionally land on our cheeks. It was a rare thrill. A little less rare during the Outsiders chapters, due to character names like Soda Pop, Pony Boy, and Two-Bit. I'm not saying it was me, but I'm pretty sure the thought, "I'll never wash my face again," occurred to at least one of us. But the admiration wasn't limited to students, as I found out a few years later, when Miss Beer married one of the sixth grade teachers. The point is, her desk had the usual paraphernalia, stacks of papers, books, pens, pencils, paper clips, a stapler, and whatnot. You know, the stuff that seemed to surround all smart people. The thing is, as I moved up in grades and spent more time in public libraries, that fascination transferred to librarians. Their desks also had those things, with the addition of book checkout cards, date stamps, and a heavy atmosphere of disapproval. To this day, achieving and maintaining a well-equipped desk is a personal goal. I shouldn't complain, though. I mean, my current setup lacks some of those smart people items, but what is there mostly serves my purposes. It just saddens me that no matter how often I adjust my glasses and glare, there aren't any timid readers around to feel cowed by it. Wait a minute. Does this mean it all boils down to control for me? Breakthrough? The right side page shows my darkest green inks. Thus, it might be harder to pick out the differences. Don't worry, though, because later on I perform some color lifting on each swatch. That will reveal their greenness a tad better. Diamine's Sherwood Green will always be special to me, as the first bottle of ink I spilled on my art table. The event was captured on a previous video, along with the profanity that accompanied it. Pelican's Dunkelgrün looks nice there, but don't be fooled. Beneath its lovely looks lies the barest phthalo-like tinge that peeks out when least expected, which makes me sound like a hissing vampire warning the newly turned about the dangers of sunlight. Yeah, that's one type of green I don't care for, except it looks really good there. Man, people are gonna think I'm off my rocker. So, libraries. Actually, I recently saw that Amazon sells boxed personal library kits from a company called Knock Knock. I don't know anything about them, but the kits look like a fun way to play librarian at home. They include adhesive pockets, checkout cards, a date stamp, an ink pad, and a pencil. They come in original, classic, cookbook, and self-help editions. Anyway, even though my book collection is pretty sparse these days, I still think it's a clever idea. It has just occurred to me that maybe one of the reasons I love the 1999 Mummy movie so much is because the main character is a librarian. Yeah, Rick was the big and brawny hero, but it was really Evie's story, because throughout she was saving everyone with her knowledge. Sure, she endangered the entire world by reading from the forbidden book, but let's not quibble over who raised the dead, because without the librarian, they would all have been in very deep doo-doo. See? What did I tell you? Smart people. Noodler's Sequoia Green was gifted to me by Sarah at Sarah Bailey Arts, as was Airband's Vert Prey and Robert Foster's Green Lady. Actually, the final three swatches, Noodler's Sequoia Green, Diamine's Green Black, and Diamine's Salamander, are so dark that they may look black to you. But as I sit here holding up the pages to natural sunlight, there is definitely a subtle green cast to all of them. You might be wondering, but Irene, why would I want a green fountain pen ink that looks black? And that's a valid question. In my case, they would only be useful in art applications, where I could adjust the value via washes. Because as far as writing goes, it's just too hard for me to see the color when it's this dark. So in the future, I'll likely stay away from super dark inks like these. As I said earlier, this is a Fabriano Ecoqua notebook. I don't often hear it talked about by fountain pen people, and there might be good reasons for that. All I know is that I've enjoyed writing in it with my fountain pens, but I won't be doing any more ink swatching spreads in it. That's because the paper did not hold up well to that sort of use. You'll see when I show the back sides, there were multiple instances of bleed through. So the next color family ink swatchings will likely be in a different notebook. Why is green my favorite color? Why ask why? Some things just are and don't require justification. But if I were to hazard a guess, my birthstone being emerald may have something to do with it. I was a spring baby, and green is the color of spring. Green is also strongly associated with the earth element, and I am a Taurus, which is an earth sign. I don't subscribe to astrology, but I've done some research, and I think in many cases, color associations can be a shared thing. Oh, another reason to like green: it's one of the most appetizing colors. Think of all the drool-worthy mixed green salads: green goddess dressing, Granny Smith apples, lime jello, guacamole, Watergate salad, pesto, dill pickles, mint ice cream, steamed broccoli, grilled asparagus. Sweet. I'm happy to share this ink swatching session. If you're a green lover like me, I hope you got a kick out of it. If not, well, it's out of the way now, and you can look forward to other colors in the future. Until next time, remember to eat your greens and stay artsy, my friends.